everyone, welcome or welcome back. My name is Cassidy or Starr, and I'm a light renegade, part of a collective of Pleiadian beings bringing you information from beyond the veil. Hello, welcome if this is your first time. This is actually going to be a part 2 video for something that I've already recorded, and that was entitled How to Protect Your Energy, I think. So this is going to be a part 2 of that. I had someone in the comments asking about crystals and how to cleanse them, so that's what I'm going to be primarily talking about today, but also a few other things that I've thought of since the last video too. There is a new camera, so let me know how the sound is on this. This is without a microphone, so a cable is on its way for the microphone, everyone, but do let me know how the sound is on this already, and hopefully some of you can hear me a little bit better already. But today, cleansing your crystals, and someone was asking, should you cleanse your crystals after you purchase them? And I say absolutely. I see crystals as having an energy, an entity, a mind of their own. You know, they are ancient stones, some of them, and they hold a lot of wisdom, so treat them with care and with respect like you would yourself. I see crystals an extension of my own, you know, body, my own soul. I really try and respect them and yeah, take great care of them. So some amazing ways to cleanse your crystals. I'm going to start with selenite, because selenite, if you don't own any selenite, it's amazing. I already told you that it's great for cleansing your aura, cleansing your auric field, cleansing everything to do with you. If you just literally encase your body in this energy, it is perfect. But if you have this on a space where you keep your crystals, you can pop your crystals on top of the selenite, and this charges them and also gets rid of any negative energy that they might have picked up. Crystals transform energy, so they take on your energy. So if you're working with your crystals often, I often sleep with my crystals, so I will make sure to cleanse them at least once a week, if not more, depending on how I'm feeling, depending on what's happening in my life at that time. But I try and cleanse them every single day using a smudge stick or incense, so smoke. So I've mentioned before that I will go around my house in the morning and cleanse every space in my room, and I also send that smoke over all of my crystals that I have. So I have crystals in my bed, I have crystals on my altar, and I also keep crystals on a windowsill as well in my house. So it depends where you keep them, it depends how you like to interact with your crystals, but for the most part, just think of them as an energy source. So think of them as an extension of you. As I've said, I try and cleanse myself as much as I can throughout the day, and if you're using certain crystals for certain practices, you know, it's great to cleanse them after that before you put them back on your spaces, you know. And I wanted to talk about an altar space as well today. So having a space where you can go to connect in, where you can go to do specific divination or try and connect to the beings from the other realms as well, is also a great practice. So making sure that you have a space where you feel safe, where you feel at peace. And you know, this can be anything. When I was very much starting out, I was living in a different sort of proximity, and I literally just used to face the wall and put my crystals in front of me. So I'd be facing a corner of the wall, and that was my altar space. I didn't have room to be creating any elaborate sort of setup. So that was my time to connect in. I found it really grounding just to be looking into the corner of a room to connect in. So it can be anywhere. Your altar space can take shape in any which way or form, and I'll perhaps do another video on that as well. But just making sure that you have a space to connect in. And you know, some people like to connect in their sleep time, so sleeping with crystals also is another great practice. And this also really helps to program you. I think something that gets missed with crystals is that you can tell them what to do for you, and you know, look into the properties of the different crystals and what they actually are capable of doing, but also know that they are there to help you. I sometimes call crystals, you know, like stone people. I see them as beings, as entities, and I think that's a great way to try and connect in with them at a deeper level. So yes, if you are collecting crystals from the store, make sure that you are cleansing them, because everyone has gone in there, you know, finding that specific crystal that's right for them. So they've touched those things, and as soon as you touch something, you know, your energy is transferred. And I'm pretty precious with a lot of my things, and yeah, I don't let many people touch my crystals, and you know, if they do, I make sure to cleanse after, even if I love that person, because I don't want that energy on my crystal. And you know, obviously that depends on your relationship with that person. Maybe you do, you know, maybe you're connecting with another person with crystals, and obviously that's a whole different ball game in itself. But for the most part, yes, please do cleanse your crystals when you've picked them up from a store or anywhere, even if they've come in a box. Often crystal sellers will send them with some selenite in, which is amazing, because you can just program your crystals to be charging on your selenite. So selenite is self-cleansing. Selenite will charge your crystals but also cleanse them of any negative energy. So if you've been working with your crystals, you know, in any sort of divination space, and you want to just cleanse it again, you can just buy a stack of selenite and pop it on top of this. You can buy, this is really cheap. Selenite is really, really cheap, and you can buy like huge pieces of it. So you can just stack all of your crystals on top of them after you've done any sort of divination work. So cleansing them with selenite, smoking or incensing them to cleanse them after you've used them, or after you've been sleeping with them too. Also salt water, you can pop salt in water and just give them a little bath. And I like to do this on the new moon. So I'm someone that does work with the moon cycles. I know that not everyone does, and people have lots of different ideas about the moon and its purposes, and I actually believe all of them. So I err on the side of, you know, there has been many civilizations that have come before us, and they were using the moon to harness a lot of energy. So even if the moon was put there for any sort of negative purpose, you know, if there's different entities living on the moon right now, there is also this this veil that people have put over the moon too, just from looking at it, just from praying to it, just from trying to connect with it over the thousands and thousands of years that, you know, there's been different civilizations. So I tap into that energy. I tap into the energy of, you know, there have been masters of the universes tapping into universal energy and looking at the moon for guidance and astrology. You know, I do follow astrology too. I also read tarot, so I'm very much into that realm, but see what fits for you. So when it is a new moon, I like to cleanse my crystals, and I don't put my crystals out to charge in a new moon. That is just, I think, standard practice across all boards. But when it is a full moon, I will put my crystals out in the moonlight. Obviously, be careful, because some birdies do like to steal shiny things, so make sure they are in a safe space. But often, if you can just find the place in your house that is going to be facing the moon, so you might be lucky enough to have a windowsill or something that does get that moonlight, you can pop them on there, and then you can charge them overnight. You have 3 days before and 3 days after for the moon energy to actually be transmuted into your crystals. So I like to leave them out the majority of that time. Some people just put them on the fullest night of the full moon, but I like to have them on there that whole time. But that's just my personal preference. So once they've been charged by the full moon, you can feel it. You can feel the difference from that. And, you know, that's when I really start to tune into them a little bit deeper and see what they have to offer for me. And, you know, I will sit with my crystals and just focus in and see what they want to tell me. And that, you know, I'm someone that can sort of hear the in-between. So just feel into that too. And if you're not someone that is, you know, can hear things at the moment, they will give you answers in other ways. So you can ask crystals for information, and they will unlock information within you too. So I know that I very much prospered in my psychic journey because of crystals, and I'm so grateful to someone that introduced me to them, because they were a major help for me, and it definitely unlocked different parts inside of me that I didn't know existed. So crystals are amazing to help with psychic abilities as well. But I wanted to mention that some crystals cannot be put in water, and malachite is one of them. Malachite is amazing for your heart chakra, but if put in water, it does leak toxic fumes. So there are some crystals that you cannot cleanse in salt water. There are some crystals that you cannot put in your baths, and just be sure to double check on that. Google anything before you start working with water as well. But popping crystals in your bath with intention is also another amazing practice to cleanse yourself, and also to cleanse your crystals too. You know, sometimes I want to promote a certain energy into my crystals, so I will have a bath with the intention of, you know, I want to be calling this in. So when I take those out of the bath with me, I don't wash them after. Sometimes I do cleanse if I'm purging. So if I'm purging, I'll pop crystals in my bath, but then I will cleanse them afterwards with salt water or just with cool water, and just set the intention to, to have a clean slate with my crystal to start working with again. But other times I will program them to the energy that I want to be dispersing in them. And as I've said before, sometimes I get a lot of downloads in the water, so I will leave that energy in that crystal and just dry it off, and then I will take that with me and, have that as a downloaded into crystal, if that makes any sense. Also with the moons, if you're going to be following the moon cycles, with eclipses, I don't charge my crystals. Obviously, if you feel called to, then trust your intuition, but the energies are just quite chaotic and also a lot shadowy in the eclipse season, so it's not best practice to be charging them at that time. But if you feel called to, and there might be specific shadow work that you're doing, I have charged my crystals at certain points in my journey, so listen to your intuition also. What else today? I wanted to talk about crystal grids, and crystal grids are a great way to allow energy to be constantly flowing in your house. And as I've said before, you can set up an altar space. It can just be, a corner of a room, a shelf, some sort of place where you can lay crystals that are going to be in correlation with each other. And now this is something that I learned the hard way. Some crystals do not like to be next to each other, and they have very combative energy. So make sure that you Google that too. What crystals like to be with each other and what crystals don't. And, intuitively try and pick your crystals too. So I have a lot, but if I'm going to be, creating a grid, I will just grab the ones that I feel called to on that day and place them in such a way that feels right for me. And, this can be any form. This can take any shape, whatever shape you want to. Sometimes I follow sacred geometry. Sometimes I would just put them in the most random of sequences, and that feels right to me. So trust in that too. But if you have a crystal grid in your home anywhere, that's dispersing energy throughout the entirety of your house. So that's great for keeping the energy flowing. And if there's a specific room in your house where you feel like there might be negative energy, it's great to have a crystal grid in there too. If you've done all the rest of things you normally do, like smudging in intention, sometimes having that crystal energy there will help loosen whatever's in there, any stagnant energy that might be stuck in there too. Crystal grids are also great for connecting into the divine. So as I said, if you're someone that's wanting to connect to those things beyond the veil, I was thinking that it would be best to talk about crystals for protection as well. And, I remembered that at the start of my journey, I was quite frightened to tap into anything of beyond the veil, because it is scary. We're taught that ghosts are here to scare us and all sorts of things from the media. So I would put myself in a ring of protection. I would have light and dark crystals around my body, so I would sit in the center of these crystals, and I would ask for protection around this ring before I would tune in to divinate. So you can do that too. And I was thinking that's also a great tip for those that might be feeling a little bit fearful but do want to start tapping in. And it's about you feeling safe. One of the hugest blocks, I think, on people trying to connect in and they can't, is that there is some sort of fear that is stopping you. And even today I was getting the information that I'm slightly blocking my guides in some areas because I'm having a trauma response to them. And some of you that have been with me on this journey for this little bit of time already, you will know that I've gone through some quite chaotic things, and especially of late. So they're saying that somewhere in me I'm having a trauma response to them, and I'm not letting the connection come in as easily as I once would have, because I've been through a lot, and my body has just gone into shock with some things. And that was news to me too. So know that things change in your journey, things happen, and sometimes it's really easy to connect and sometimes it's not. So just be aware of that too. But having crystals around you for protection, I used to put a light crystal, a dark crystal, a light crystal, a dark crystal, just to have that balance of light and dark energy, yin and yang. And I would sit in the center, and then I would try and meditate and tune in, and I felt safe within that. And I would close that connection off with whatever I felt like I was tuning into, and then I would cleanse my crystals and then put them back wherever I'd like to keep them. And that made me feel safe. I was setting a specific parameter around myself to connect in, and yeah, that made me feel a lot safer. Be careful of what crystals you put by your bed too. This is also something that I learned the hard way, and I got a piece of Moldavite, and those in the know, Moldavite is really great for just shaking up your entirety of your life. And it's not a crystal to use if it's your first few months working with crystals. And I thought, no, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the shake up. I'm ready for a massive change. And for that week, I I couldn't figure it out, but I just couldn't sleep. And then I realized that my Moldavite, I should have been putting specific times of when I wanted to work with it, but I put it in a specific space of intention. But this was very close to my bed, and I realized that it was actually keeping me up at night. So, I learned that the hard way, and now I keep my Moldavite in a safe place in a bag. So that's another thing to mention, if you're feeling like an energy is too strong from a crystal, just set out a specific time to be working with that crystal. It doesn't have to be, on your altar the whole time, but I've got calming things on my altar. I've got lots of selenite on my altar to keep my crystals cleansed on there, but I will put specific crystals on there that I want to be working with regards to how I'm feeling and my energy. And so just be aware of that too. Make sure you're picking the crystals that are going to be suited to the energy that you're wanting to either disperse or keep in or amplify. And selenite is amazing for amplifying any energy of a crystal as well. So if you don't have selenite in your own crystals, I would highly recommend buying selenite. It is very, very cheap, and it does a lot of wonderful things. It's also great for healing properties too, and soothing properties. So that's another thing to mention. I was also asked to tag some crystal tellers in the description below. I am in the UK, so that's something to note, but I think the people that I do buy from, they do ship internationally. I will double check on that, but I will tag some crystal sellers that I absolutely adore below in the description as well. What else did I want to talk about? I think that's it from today. I think that's it from crystals. I did just want to mention this idea of feeling safe and connecting in, but know that crystals are such a great tool for when you're starting out, because they really help you to connect into the energy of you. And it's really difficult when you're trying to think of yourself as energy and not this physical vessel anymore, and crystals are amazing for helping you to tap into that and helping you to tune into parts of self that you might not know existed. So I would often start with maybe a stack of chakra point crystals if this is your first time thinking about buying crystals. I've gone off topic, but I feel cool too. So if this is your first time buying crystals, I might think about buying chakras for each specific, buying crystals for each specific chakra. So then you have an alignment of crystals that you can work with any part of the body, and also to get that energy flowing that is really going to help you amplify anything in your life, or help you figure out where negative energy might be stored in your body too. So yeah, selenite, having crystals that are going to be connected to the chakra points, and buying some crystal bracelets, whatever you're feeling called to. I'm never far away from mine, so some people don't like to carry crystals in their pockets, but I literally put them everywhere, my underwear, my bras, everything, my pockets. I will have them everywhere, as well as on my necklaces. But crystals are great for making you feel safe, but also for giving you power as well. So those days when you're feeling, a little bit zapped, a little bit just like you need a bit of pep, crystals are amazing for giving you that pep in your step too. But I think that's it from me today. I hope that you can hear me a little bit better with this new tech, but I'll be back soon. Take care.